I'm real rough today. Haven't shaved. it's a it's a Saturday. I only had one inspection today, so it wasn't super bad. It was a roof, so it had some wind damage. I'm out in Sims, North Carolina. It's about 45 minutes east of my location, and there was some pretty bad winds out here. A guy said probably 60-mile-an-hour straight line winds, and it ripped off very, very large section of shingles off of his roof, and loosened a bunch of others. So we're gonna get a good size repair, probably 200 square feet, probably almost 2 squares of damage that was caused on this roof. And then we had some sporadic damage to a couple other slopes as well. So yeah, kind of a freaky little roof scenario. And this was a 30-year shingle, so you know, in order to pull off a 30-year shingle and do the damage that happened, there's got to be some pretty good sized winds in order to make that happen. So yeah, it was a big wind event. So I hope you guys are doing okay. You're all sleeping in on Saturday, and I get it. That's what I try to sleep in, but I can't sleep in. I don't sleep in very well. My body clock is set for about 6:30 in the morning, and this morning I actually woke up at 5:30 and couldn't go back to sleep. So today was an early rise. And in the morning, you know, I can get more done, get breakfast going, get through some emails in the morning that maybe were left over or came over the night, questions from the desk adjuster, whatever. Sometimes those emails will come in. Not as much on the weekends, but during the day for sure. Because some of the desk adjusters, they're queued at the end of the day trying to get rid of all their emails. So they're gonna send me an email sometimes late in the evening. I'm not going to answer those emails, and I'll get them the next day. So yeah, sometimes that'll be something I'll wake up to on a Saturday morning, is some emails. Typical though, very little one-on-one really with anybody on a Saturday. I think typically, the desk adjusters only work Monday through Friday, and they wrap us up everything on Friday. Now Mondays are busy, and Fridays are typically busy, because everybody's trying to get everything done at the last minute. So yeah, it is what it is. So how are you guys doing this morning? How's everybody doing? Put in the chat where you're joining me from. It's probably early in California. I don't think anybody's up in California on the West Coast. That's 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. You never know though. Some Texas people, it's only an hour's difference. So maybe you're up 9 o'clock, wonder what to do on a Saturday. So yeah, typical Saturday for me is a longer inspection. I will do the long drives that maybe are in the wrong location for me, or where I rarely get any work. That's typically what I'll do on a Saturday, is I'll hit those inspections, mainly because I don't want it to throw off my week with having to drive in kind of a very remote area. So I'll pick those remote drives for Saturday. And even if I'm doing a little bit more driving, meaning maybe I hit 2 of the remote ones in very different areas, I'll do that. Because like I said, those remote positions or remote inspections can really mess up your day-to-day if you've got a whole bunch grouped in one area, and then you've got this one way out in the middle of nowhere. It's something that you don't really want to go investigate on a Saturday or on a regular day, but you don't mind doing it on a Saturday. So that's typically what I'll do, is get those inspections done on a Saturday. So I hope you guys are doing okay. Tell me what you guys do as an adjuster on Saturday. Do you guys just take it off, or do you actually work on Saturday too? That would be good to know. Let me know in the chat. And do you save all your long drives for Saturday like I do? because that's what I do. I save all my long remote claims for Saturday. Remote as in out in the middle of nowhere. Places I don't normally go. Like this one's Sims, North Carolina. It's literally just a small town, probably not more than 200 or 300 people, maybe 500 people live in this town, and it's just out in the middle of nowhere, and I don't go there very often. So this guy it was a policeman actually, but his roof had some wind damage. They had some pretty good sized wind over here from that storm the other day, and so yeah, I'll probably see some more claims in this area, because once you have one, then there's probably others. So yeah, it's good to get these inspections done on the weekends when you don't have, I don't have any other claims in this area. So it's always best to kind of hit these on a Saturday when you have an easy day and you just want to get this one out of the way. So what are you guys up to this Saturday? Tell me what your plans are. Is this a play day? Go out and play golf? Hang out with the family? Do some home chores? Or do you guys actually work on Saturdays too? Or do you say, no way, I'm not working Saturday, forget that. I actually like driving, so to me, the long drives on a Saturday are actually kind of fun. I enjoy them. Most of the time listening to music, and if it's beautiful, the windows are down, just enjoying life on these long drives. It's good. So this one was, the one I just went on was a little steeper than I like to climb without a rope, where I had to do a pretty decent inspection on. It had a 1212, and but it was a 30-year shingle, so I'm not expecting that it would have a whole lot of damage. It takes a lot of wind to blow up that 30-year shingle. Hey Zach, welcome. All right, still off of Cat, hopefully packing up work within the next couple months here. Getting the dailies has been very hard, South Florida. Oh yeah. Yeah, well, you're lucky to be still deployed, you know, because that's pretty awesome. I was down there for 2.5 months, and it was drying up for me in Orlando. Now, I imagine if I had gone more west, I would have probably been staying really busy, but I didn't want to be in ground zero. It's too much competition for the flood stuff that's messed up. Yeah, South Florida is probably hard to get dailies as well. You know, I think a lot of your really expensive areas are probably handled by staff adjusters. That's my guess, because I rarely get claims in the really, really expensive areas of downtown Raleigh. I mean, rarely. And I'm like, well, those people don't not have claims, or maybe they do. Or maybe they just pay for everything. Maybe they don't open claims. Maybe their policies are so expensive that if they open a claim, they're afraid that their policy would go up even more, you know, because these are $3 million houses. So maybe if they open a claim, their rates would triple or whatever. So maybe they don't open claims. Maybe that's why I don't get any claims down. And maybe that's the same way in South Florida, because you got, you know, some really nice areas, but you got a lot of slummy areas too, but the houses are still expensive. But I don't know. I wonder if the staff are doing all the, you know, the high dollar stuff, because if they had to pay us for all the high dollar claims, then the insurance company would be paying a whole lot more out for us. I don't know. Because, you know, they do price it by zip code. And so if I walk into a $3 million neighborhood, you know, my estimate for that damage is going to be 20 or 30% higher, if not more, 40% higher than going somewhere outside of Raleigh in a podunk area. So yeah, it's going to be a higher estimate, no doubt. And so then, you know, then you're going into a higher fee schedule. The insurance company's going to have to pay more. So maybe that's the goal. Maybe they handle all the rich stuff, give us all the medium stuff. Just my guess. I don't know. Makes me wonder. Hey, Stu. What's your favorite major IA firm that you would work with? Well, I have a couple. when it just, I guess, depends on what you're doing. When I was working auto claims for State Farm, I was working with Pilot, and they're a family-oriented company, but they don't do daily claims, or maybe they do. I just never got any from them. I think they're mostly doing State Farm stuff or big, office positions. But Pilot was really a great company, whereas the other people that were in the office were working for like EA Renfro and what was the other one? Crawford and Company. There were a couple others in there, and they were not really happy. They're really not happy. Oh, Pilot is where I got this. Got me started last year at Allstate. Okay, yeah, they are doing a lot of Allstate. I remember that. Yeah, I like the way Pilot treats people. In fact, I got a 401k with them, which was kind of cool, and I ended up saving up like $17,000 or something like that in the time that I was working there, like putting contributions in. It was pretty cool. Hurricane Helene in South Carolina and large loss in Oklahoma with tornadoes. Very cool. My field manager really taught me a lot. Helps me with daily claims if I need it. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's all about the support. Now, I work for Alacrity and I work for Compass. And Alacrity was formerly Whirly, and I don't know. I mean, they had some issues back when it was Whirly, and then when they became Alacrity, then it seemed like they were good for a while, and then they're kind of still pretty good, but they're not exceptional. I like my managers, and they're very helpful, and they do look out after you, but I don't understand their work deployment, like how I can go really, really busy with a firm, and then all of a sudden within a year I'm like barely handling any claims with them. So I don't know what's going on. It could be they lost their position with some of the big carriers. They do quality reviews, and maybe they lost position, and so that's why now I was not getting any claims with them. But I was handling Progressive claims. I don't know. They were my first carrier. They were actually my number one carrier for the amount of work that I was doing, and so I was handling 10 a week maybe with Progressive. I'm lucky if I get one claim a month. So you go from 40 claims a month to one claim a month. That's a pretty significant drop in workload. And I've talked to my managers, and I asked them, I said, did I do anything wrong? Or did I, and they're like, oh, no, absolutely not. Everything's great. I'm like, well, why are we not getting work? And he goes, I don't know. They're just not giving us any. Well, I think he knew. I think he knows, but he's just not telling me. I think they probably lost their ranking as the number one adjuster or an adjusting firm for Progressive, and somebody else got it. And so now they're getting seconds whenever that first firm can't handle them all. And so, yeah, I love Progressive. I think they're very good. I think they're a good insurance company, and they handle the insurance really well. I like working for them, but I'm not doing anything for them, which is really bogus. Oh yeah, CNC, I remember them. Yeah, they were in State Farm as well. I don't know anything about them, but that was another firm that was there. Yeah, it's just hit and miss, guys, because I've heard good and bad with every firm of whether you get a good manager or a bad manager. I don't even know. I mean, it's hard to know. So you worked Autodesk on the off season, but never worked property when I went in as an IA. Okay. Very smart firm, CNC, family oriented. Cool. It's good to know. Very good. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's lots of inside work, especially auto, for sure, in the off season. I personally definitely would go back and do a desk position for Progressive or State Farm or whoever in the slow season, if I continue to get this kind of slow season I'm getting, because when I had Progressive and I was handling a lot for them, we stayed busy all winter, and I had a ton, and now not. So Compass is my primary right now. They provide me practically all my work. Alacrity gives me just a little bit, and then I've got 2 or 3 other small firms that occasionally give me work. But it's still good. I mean, I still make good money. It's just like it was much busier several years ago when I had UPC and Progressive as regular work, and then UPC went bankrupt, and so then I lost them, and then we lost the contract obviously with Progressive, and so what I need to do is find out who's handling most of the Progressive and go with that firm, find out where that firm is, and kind of do some research for that, so I can go over there and say, hey, I've handled thousands of Progressive claims. Maybe you need some help. But here's again, when you switch firms, a lot of times they have their core group that they use. Like they're set, and the guys are happy, they're making good money, and as far as daily claims, and they're not leaving. And until some guy moves out of the area or retires or gets tired of doing what he's doing, there isn't a position for a new daily adjuster to pop in. So it's kind of like how I got to North Carolina. Was one guy was moving. I think originally he was from Virginia, and he was coming down to Raleigh like once or twice a week, to 3-hour drive to come down and handle the Raleigh stuff. And he'd done that for years. And this is what I heard from my manager. And one day he, decided he had enough of that. And so that was when my manager called me and said, hey, there's a position in North Carolina just opened up. Do you want it? And I'm like, absolutely. And that's when I moved back to North Carolina. I mean, my family's from here, but I was in Texas. Oh, I was in Louisiana at that time. And he called me up and said, yeah, a position just opened up in North Carolina as daily adjuster. Do you want it? I'm like, absolutely. So, but for years, I mean, it was like 4 years, I had been calling to try to get into North Carolina as a daily adjuster, and I couldn't do it. So I was all over the country working dailies in other states, Maryland and Indiana and Louisiana and Texas. Yeah, just had to move around and work cats whenever they came up. So sometimes you don't get them in your home state, but if you're available, if you have the ability to move temporarily to another area, you could get a daily gig. Let's say you have no experience in dailies whatsoever. And I'm telling you the story because this is how it worked for me. I had no experience in dailies. And I called up Alacrity, it was Worley back then, and I said, where do you need somebody? And they said Maryland. And I was like, Maryland? I didn't want to move to Maryland, but I wanted to work. I was in Frederick, but I was handling Baltimore and DC and Delaware, southern Pennsylvania and West Virginia area, way over there. And I tell you, the stuff in Baltimore became more and more, oh, you live in Frederick. Oh man, that's so cool. I love Frederick. Well, I love Frederick for the culture, the restaurants, the beauty on the river. I mean, everything is gorgeous. The Blue Ridge Parkway walks around the Blue Ridge Mountains, and you can walk on the Blue Ridge Mountain Trail. All the trail. I mean, everything is great. The people, oh my goodness, the rudest son of a guns I've ever met in my life. We'd be walking down this rails to trails, okay? So I got my family. We're walking down the rails to trails, and you can see like 5 miles down the rail, because they made one of those railway tracks into a walkway. And you see a couple coming, and probably for the next 30 minutes, you see them getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And you think, hey, this person's also seen me for the last 30 minutes walking towards them. And so you think the minimalist little conversation you could have is, wow, can't believe how long I saw you before you got to us. Or, hey, how you doing? You having a great day? So nice, a beautiful walk, right? What do these people do? They walk by us and look the other direction exactly when they come up to us. Like just on purpose, both turn their heads so they don't have to talk to us. And that is so common. I mean, this happened hundreds of times when we were walking in the trails. Hundreds. And the only time it didn't happen was when I was on the Blue Ridge Mountain walkways. And obviously those people had been walking from wherever, even the next state possibly, from Virginia or who knows, you know, because they were, you know, there was a lot of challenges if they're like, how far can you walk on the Blue Ridge Mountain? Can you do the whole trip? And so we would be walking on the trail, every single one of them. Hi, oh, so good to see you. How long you been on the trail? Oh, this is great, isn't it? Beautiful day. Friendly as could be. But if you were local with anybody in Frederick, the rudest son of a guns you've ever met in your life. But Frederick's a beautiful place. Yeah, so I love that area. Anyway, so that's the reason why I brought that up, was that if you're looking for a daily opportunity to get somewhere, then you may just, hey, say to your wife, say to your girlfriend, say to your kids, hey, we're moving here for a year. Go get a lease, you know, homeschool your kids for a year. It's not the end of the world. They're not going to drop off the face of the earth. In fact, they'll probably become smarter than half the kids in their school. But yeah, take a trip. Put your place as an Airbnb. You know, rent it out for a year, make some money, and then take off and go do one of these deployments where a firm has said, yes, I can give you 10 claims a week in this area if you go. And I can guarantee, like I did, I called a bunch of firms letting them know that I was in Frederick when I got there. And obviously they didn't have anybody there to handle their claims too. And so I started getting a bunch of other claims from other firms. And so I ended up pushing 20 claims a week by the time I left Frederick. And then I was able to get into State Farm and did some auto stuff, and then I transferred over to Indiana. And I was there for 2 years. So it just, guys, the opportunities are there. You're going to have to be flexible. And also they want to know if you really want it. They want people who really want their position and they really want to do a good job. You know, bad people are a dime a dozen. You can find sloppy work, crummy estimates, crummy drawings, crummy photo documentation every day of the week. You can find those people everywhere, and the firms know it. They know they can find those people. What they're looking for is the cream of the crop, the top 10% that's going to make them a ton of money. They're not going to have to babysit. They're not going to have to call on every other claim. Their file reviewers are going to love you. Those adjusters are the dream come true for any firm. And you want to be one of those people so that when a catastrophe happens, and let's say, you know, you haven't been doing catastrophes for a while, and all of a sudden you decide to go. Well, you call up the firm and you say, hey, I'm ready to start deploying for catastrophes. Keep me in mind. Do you think that firm is going to turn their head up at you and go, no way, we're not using that guy in a cat? Well, dude, it's cat fee schedule, okay? You're going to do 2 more claims per day than normal, and you're going to be making top pay because there's tons of damage, and that firm is going to be making 40% of what you make. That firm is going to jump at the chance to have a really good adjuster go out on cat for them that they don't have to babysit. And so it's worked for me. I just tell them I'm going. In fact, they call me. And for a year and a half, I wasn't going because I was in the middle of a yucky divorce. And so I couldn't travel. And my managers were begging me to go. And I was like, well, it's really not a good time for me, buddy. I'm going to court all the time. I got visitation with my kids, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's not working out. And they were bummed. They were bummed. Well, now things have all kind of settled down a little bit, and things are the new norm. And so my freedom for going on catastrophes has opened up, and they love it. They love it. They call me up now still on every event and say, you want to go? And so it's a nice feeling that once you've been recognized as a good adjuster, that getting work in the future is as easy as saying yes. And that's a really nice feeling. And I think every one of you can do it. It's whether you care enough to put out a good product, even on the bad days, even on the bad claims, even on the nasty people, is to put out a good claim when you're sick, when you don't feel like it, when you get called out to supplements 2 or 3 times, when you're on the roof with an argumentative roofer or an argumentative PA. It's still doing the right thing every single day, and doing it with a good attitude is what's going to get you recognized by the firm to where they say, really want that guy doing my claims. And then your managers are going to remember you, and when they transfer to a different firm because they're trying to up their career and get more money at the next firm, they're going to remember you and solicit you to come over there. And or you could be on the roster already, and all of a sudden you start seeing claims that you never saw before because that manager is there and now he's blessing you. So it works, guys, and you just gotta stick with it, do your best, and it'll pay off. Yeah, so the South and the Midwest, oh yeah, for sure, no doubt. That's the best areas to work, for sure. I love Florida. Florida, man, they're all sweet old ladies. I've been watching you since before I even knew Xactimate. How do I do it for a living? What? Before I knew Xactimate, how I do for a living. Or now I do for a living. I'm sorry, I've got my glasses on, guys. Oh, that's so cool. Stu, I'm so glad you've been faithful. You know, I think anyone who wants to become a good adjuster, we all need to find a resource that we click with, whether it's, you know, a podcast, whether it's a blog that we read, or a YouTube channel we follow, or whatever it happens to be. Like, I follow a couple guys on Instagram, and I like their content. It's good. And so, yeah, they don't have a lot of content, but when they do post something, it's interesting. So I think you can always learn. Don't ever be a person that doesn't learn, because that's when you'll start to fail. Is, you know, think about it. If you never improved your skills, and software's changing, the way we do things changes, the way we estimate changes, all of a sudden you're irrelevant. You know, it's kind of like a programmer. If they don't learn the new language, well, then they're gonna struggle in the world. Now ChatGPT can do it for them for free, but now you could be a basic programmer and not know one word of programming. It's kind of funny. That's pretty amazing, I think. All right, so found your channel about 3 weeks ago and had to subscribe. Awesome, very cool. Thank you, Yvonne. Thanks for joining. I'm happy every time I find new people. In fact, it says that I have about 140 people that join every month on my channel. So, pretty cool. So I'm at a little thousand subscribers, and I can remember when I was so excited when I got 1,000 subscribers. I remember the day. And I even saved the screenshot when it said I had 1,000 subscribers. And I thought I was like famous. Oh, that's so funny. Now I had 10,000 changed. Still not famous. Not trying to be famous. But it was funny how your mentality thinks that, you know, oh, wow, I'm going to be something big one day. But it is kind of cool. Like I go to the gym, and I go just walking down the street, or I go on the roof, you know, meet roofers, and they all know me. Not all of them, but a lot of them know me. And I get, you know, a guy comes halfway across the gym and introduces himself and tells me he watches my channel because he's a roofer. And I think it's pretty cool. So it's fun. I like meeting people in person. I'm hoping one day, this is kind of my hope, is that I will have an influence upon so many people in the future that maybe one day I could have a conference, and it would be something that everyone could come and we could network and we could just meet people that are still doing this after years and years and years of doing it. And it's sad because the people that I mostly learned with in this industry are not doing adjusting anymore. And it's a very cyclical business. It's like people don't stick around doing it. It's hard, you know. It's you got to do it the day in and day out and keep doing it, because there are bad years and there are some really good years. But I think people that don't budget properly, or they don't plan, you know, their work, and their, you know, maybe their wife doesn't work, or who knows. I mean, you know, you've got to have some supplemental income for the wintertime, because it's just slow. Unless you get a great storm that will keep you busy, you know, all year from a big storm like a hurricane or a hailstorm, then you're gonna be set for the winter. But typically winters are slow, and so you got to have some kind of other income. And now I'm on my own, and so I don't have any supplemental income. So the best thing to do is to try to save some of that plenty from the winter time or the summertime and set it aside, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. And it'll get better and better each year that goes by. I'll be able to save more and more, so that the summers are, so the winters are actually not so bad. But this winter was really bad. It was really dry and very hard. And you know, you just take those bad days. I'm not going to quit though. I mean, why would you quit all this effort that you put into building this career? Why would you quit because you got one bad year? It's like, take a loan. You know, take a loan, pay $300 a month for the loan or whatever, and just live off it for the winter. But don't quit. And then try and get the thing paid off in the summer and get back on your feet again. But yeah, the people that quit to say, well, I can't make any money, I got to go back to a 9-to-5 job. Well, go do a desk adjuster job, or do something, but don't quit. There's so much effort into getting this business started that you don't want to quit. And so if you guys ever feel like you want to quit, make sure you contact me. Send me a direct message and I'll walk you through it. I'll see if I can help you. I'll do it for free. I don't care. But I want to help you guys stay in this business, because it's a great career long term for anybody. And I think if you have the mindset, because you want to be your own boss and you want to be successful, failures are going to happen, bad things are going to happen. But your mindset is the key to every success that you have. And that's keeping a positive attitude, even in the times that are really bad and days that you hate your job. And, you know, and you just got to work on it. You got to work on the mentality. But I don't think you'll hate your job. If you do this job to your best ability, it's lucrative. It's, and the work is always there. It always seems to come, because storms happen all the time. Bad events happen all the time. So what kind of work do you have where you're guaranteed work just because the weather makes work? And so, you know, in car wrecks, if you're working auto, how many people don't have car wrecks? Everybody has a car wreck. And so, you know, if you're working in a job that, you know, same thing with a hospital. People are always getting sick. Those hospitals are never going out of business. They're always going to be in business. So why would you not want to work in that type of atmosphere? Same thing with education. People are always going to have college, always going to have schools. Education is great. I mean, they don't pay you enough, but if you're a professor, you're never going to be out of work as a professor, because you're always going to find work. Not that I recommend going to education, because it's a very hard job enough. But any of the jobs that, you know, government used to be that way, now that Doge is in there cleaning house, I'm not sure people are going to have the endless work that they thought they had. I'm changing from property management and trying to build a business in adjusting. Very good. Very good, Yvonne. Yeah, I think management side is great, but there's also a lot of competition in that. And then you're dealing with the politics. And, oh, I can't stand politics of an office. My dad wanted me, you know, he was brought up in business, and my dad sent me to business school and said, oh yeah, the only way you succeed is to be, you know, in business and be a manager. And I was like, not interested. And he never understood it. He was like, He's like, why don't you want to be in corporate America? And I said, because I don't want to have to be under a boss who, number one, probably doesn't know as much as I do, doesn't care about me, is only looking out for himself, is going to throw me under the bus faster than imaginable if it's going to make him look bad. I don't want nothing of that. I don't want the politics and the backstabbing and the gossip and, it's just horrid. I mean, I hear it from my sister. My sister's been in corporate America for 30 years. Oh, I feel so bad for her. I have heard thousands and thousands of stories from her about corporate people trying to throw her under the bus. I mean, literally thousands, guys. It's like every week there's something that's going on. And yeah, and you can't get a break from it. The people are just so rude, and people are so mean, and so they're not out for your best interest. They're out for their own. So Yvonne, I totally get it. But what's great is you're going to have incredible experience to go out on your own. It's going to be really easy. So it's no different than when I was in the building industry for 18 years before doing this job. Remodeling houses. I built 3 houses from the ground up. I did every single trade. I grew up as a carpenter. So I did everything. I know electrician, electrical, plumbing, heating and air. I did everything myself. The only thing I had to do was permits. And the only thing I couldn't do on the houses was drop a septic system in the house, in the ground. So that was the only thing that I was paying. I mean, I did foundation, brickwork, stonework, you name it. Concrete slabs, every single thing I did. And so that was the expertise that I grew up with. And when I moved into the adjusting world, it was like, people are like, well, this is a no-brainer. you have knowledge beyond belief in writing estimates. And you wouldn't believe how easy that was. So it's the same thing with you. You've got policy knowledge. You've got, the whole structure of how insurance works, the whole workflow, and the knowledge is incredible. And so you'll do fine. You'll do incredible in the world of adjusting. But here's the benefit. The benefit to getting out on your own is then making your own hours, getting up when you want, going to bed when you want, scheduling a vacation whenever you want, taking as much work as you want or as little as you want, working for who you want. And then when you do a good job, now here's Yvonne, here's the difference. When you do a good job, you never hear from your managers. My managers don't call me. I'm lucky if once every, well, lately it's been a lot because I got this one troubled lady, but he's been calling me. He's so funny. Wow, he said 3 times in 1 week, man. This is unbelievable. This is a world record. But that's only because we got a troubled person. But here's the thing. Most of the time, I don't hear from my managers in 6 months. Almost once or twice a season is all I hear from my managers. And all they do, and in fact, one guy calls me up and he goes, "Hey, Daniel, stranger." He says, "Are you still alive?" And I said, and his name's Daniel too. And I said, "Daniel," I said, "you know I'm alive. I'm turning in claims. Of course I'm alive." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm just required to call you because we haven't heard from you in a while. And I'm required, once or twice a year to give you a call and just chat, see how things are going." And I said, "Going great. You know it is." And he goes, "Yeah, I know. It's great to have you." And he, just thanks me and just says, "You're the best." And I mean, all the time. And then I had one call, last year it was, one of my managers called me up and said that one of the insureds called their agent, and the agent wanted to have me fired as an adjuster because they said I was rude. And, anyway, so my managers, I had 3 managers that went to boot for me to defend who I was. And these were 3 different managers in that firm that worked for 3 different of the insurance carriers that I was handling. And they all came to boot for me because this agent was a statewide agent and was handling a huge number of insureds. And this one insured said, if this adjuster is not fired, I will talk to every person I know and tell them to drop your insurance company. And so that was what this one insured was threatening the agent with. And well, the agent is, statewide, huge, and she was all paranoid. So she calls up to corporate at the insurance company and says, that adjuster has to be fired. My career is, my business is going to suffer if we don't. And so corporate, and it was interesting because the corporate manager, he actually likes me too for the carrier. And because he's had a couple of conversations and we've been in some heated stuff in the past. And so he actually stood up for me and said, I've known this adjuster for several years, and he's one of our better independent adjusters, and I really don't think he would have said that. And he said that. So anyways, he contacted the firm, because obviously they have to do that. And the manager's like, there is no way Daniel said that. Well, two others somehow got around the firm that they were trying to fire me, and so two of my other managers from two other insurance carriers then called that main corporate manager and said, there ain't no way Daniel said that. There is no way in a million years Daniel said that. And so the corporate manager of the carrier, the three managers I had for the firm, basically told that agent to go take a hike and said, we're not firing this guy. And the corporate was like, nah, we're not firing him. He does good work. There's no reason to think otherwise. I don't think you're getting the full story from your insured. So basically told off the agent and said, I don't think that insured is telling the truth. And I think we need to either have a recorded statement from that person so that we can hold him in contempt potentially, or just something's not right. Anyway, so the agent did go back to the insured and said, we've got a lot of discrepancies in our stories. We got a lot of people, very big wigs, and lots of managers saying that Daniel never had said that. Are you sure that he said that? And we will need a recorded statement from you regarding that if that is true. And then she had the nerve to come back and say, well, he probably didn't say it exactly like that, but it sure sounded like it. And that agent, I remember the agent coming back to corporate, because corporate told us, and said that agent was so embarrassed and apologized profusely to everybody for causing this riff. And it was really sad because my managers were generally very sad, because they came up to me and they said, I got some really bad news I've got to share with you. They said, we've got a really big agent, bigwig, who wants you fired. And this is going to affect your career a lot with us. And I just hate that this is coming up, and I hope it doesn't come to that. But he was so genuinely hurt by the fact that somebody was saying something so bad about me. And there's that corporate bull again. It basically, somebody could throw you under the bus and you could have done nothing wrong. Corporate is messed up. And so I didn't want anything to do with it. But this situation all blew over. I actually had the person finally was honest enough to admit that I didn't actually say exactly that. And it worked out. But in some situations, it doesn't always work out that well. And I feel bad, but when I was working for State Farm and I was in the office, there were people throwing people under the bus all the time and pulling the racist card. And I was just like, this is insane. I was working with a buddy of mine, and I told him, I said, can you believe this crap? I mean, it's like daily people trying to pull the race card. And I was like, this is insane. It's like, you're just not doing a good job. Just because your manager's white and you're black doesn't mean, they got something against you. I said, they don't have any problem with the Mexicans doing the job, and they're not, telling them off. It's because the Mexicans are doing their job. Figure you're doing your job, then there's nothing there to say. It has nothing to do with what color skin you are. So, and they would pull the numbers and they do the sheets and they go, you've been here all day and use 3 claims, and all these people over here are doing 15, 18, 19, 20, 26. What's going on? And then they pull the racist card. And it's like, no. We're not doing that. You're just not doing a good job. And we're firing you because your numbers are terrible and you're not a good adjuster. And we got a bunch of complaints from you. Sorry, there's nothing to do with race. So, but there's politics, And so then that one girl who was about to get fired is then mouthing back to her manager and saying that she's a racist, and opens a complaint to State Farm in the private line, telling that her boss is racist. It's like, are you serious? This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. My son is in Houston and decided to go to a class, and he told me adjusting might be better for me. Oh yeah, absolutely. Adjusting is great, because here's the thing. It all depends on your work ethic. The work ethic, and it sounds like you really care, but what it is, Yvonne, is that if you've got a self-governing attitude about what you do in life, then you're going to be an angel in this business, because all of it, all of the success in here is about being self-employed, governing yourself, doing what you're supposed to without somebody telling you. That's it. I knew it. I knew it was you. And so that's the point. And so you can tell those people who they are. I can walk down the street and I can go to any restaurant and I can tell you, I can find a person who has a self-employment mentality, and I will go up to them and I will tell them, you actually probably need to open up your own store. You know, you've got, you know, your waitering is totally amazing. Your service is totally amazing. You could be a manager in this place in a heartbeat, or open up your own store. And they beam. Oh yeah, they beam, and they go, wow, really? And I'm like, yeah, I've seen this. This is, you're selling yourself short. So you're right. I mean, those people shine, and those people know what to do. And you don't get to be a manager unless somebody else has also noticed that behavior in you as well, Yvonne. So that says a lot about you. So yeah, I would definitely go that route. You know, your resume is going to be what's going to sell yourself, and you've already got the resume. So now you just start pushing it out to adjusting firms, get on a whole bunch of rosters, work on your licensing, work on Xactimate if you don't have that. I've got a course that'll teach you how to get the certification for level 1 and level 2 for Xactimate. It's a link in my description. That'll help you pass that course. Yeah, but it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm 57. Okay, you're as old as you feel. I feel 40. So to me, you know, people look at me like, I had a guy yesterday. I was climbing on a roof, a 1212, off of a ladder. Okay, climbing up a roof off of a ladder on a 1212, and the guy, he was 19, 20 years old, and he said to me, he says, you climb better than anyone I have ever seen. And I said, well, I appreciate that. And I said, I'm 57. He goes, no. He says, there ain't no way. He says, you climb like you're 30. And I said, well, appreciate the compliment. But it's how you act and how you feel. And here's the thing, you can be an adjuster. Like, I met a guy who was a desk adjuster who was 90 years old. He worked for Pilot. He was one of the first employees that Pilot had ever hired. And he was 90 years old. And he worked with me in my auto deployment for Pilot Catastrophe. That was their, the company name's called Pilot Catastrophe. And we were desk adjusters in the auto business and doing State Farm Auto. And he was 90 years old. I mean, he's still making $100,000 at 90 years old. What a dream. Sitting at a desk. And he wasn't very productive. He was just a really nice guy. And they weren't going to fire him. I mean, he was like the mentor of Pilot. And so they weren't going to fire him. But yeah, there's jobs like that. I got old ladies that sit in their desk adjusting, never been on a roof in their life, sat at a desk adjuster, 65 years old, been adjusting for 25 years. Nicest, sweetest people in the world, making $100,000 a year. I mean, it's just, those people are the happiest in the world, is because they're doing what they love and people are paying them well to do it. You're welcome. Oh, you're so welcome, Yvonne. I mean, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to encourage people, help them to do what they want to do, and help people succeed. That's a better life is always there. It's whether you want it or not. And there's lots of jobs out there that can give you a better life. So find out what you're good at and then do it. And here's the thing, in insurance, there's so many different types. Like if I get tired of property, well, they have boat adjusting. I'm going to go be a boat adjuster. I want to be on the beach, and I want to climb around a bunch of water and climb on a bunch of boats and do some estimates on how to fix boats. And I'm going to do the research and figure out how to do it. And I'm going to be a boat adjuster one day, because then I can be by the beach. I can live by the water. And when a big catastrophe event happens, then I'm off chasing boats all over the land, you know, doing a boat adjusting, and I would love it. Or crop adjusting. Go out there, and a tornado goes through a crop, get on a 4x4 and you go around with a GPS and you start pinning out all the damaged areas in the crop, and you do a drone and do an overview. And I mean, I would love that. That'd be so much fun. I'd be out there on my own, out in the middle of nowhere with a 4x4, zipping all over their cornfield, doing measurements for tornado loss. And there's just so many things that you can get into, like medical. You can go do medical insurance. You can do scene investigations. You can do workman's comp. You can general liability. You name it. There's all sorts of things. Construction defect. I could go do that one day if I wanted to. I can do appraisals, and I can do FEMA and flood. There's so many things you can do in insurance. But once you're in, it's like you're never out. You're never out. And you just get some more training and go and move on to the next thing. So, but here's the thing, you're self-employed. You're not messing with all the bureaucracy of all the people around you. And you're just doing your job. Somebody's paying you contract in order to do this job. And they say, hey, if you do this job, we're going to pay you. And we're going to pay you well. And, just to give you a heads up, 150,000 minimum is a very common, kind of like, well, I bat my eyes for nothing to make 150,000. I mean, it's like 150,000 is really peanuts in this world. I know guys making $300,000, $400,000 a year doing what I'm doing. Now they chase storms and they're a little more stress level, but they're working in areas where they stay busy. Who wouldn't want a $300,000 income working by yourself with no stress? And what I mean by no stress is I don't have anybody stressing me out every day. No, and here's the thing. If I traveled, which I love traveling, and this is what I'm thinking about doing, is basically jumping a year and doing a bunch of catastrophes and just chasing storms all year, I can make $300,000 a year in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, doing that. And it's just whether you want to be inconvenienced by staying in a hotel for 4 months there, 4 months there, 3 months there, 2 months there, and moving to all these different places. And it happens every season. So, but here's the thing. Every place I've been to 27 states, and every time I go to a new state, I hang out for a week or two after I've done the catastrophe and just enjoy what that state has to offer. I just enjoy the scenery and find all the great restaurants and, the tours, and go do that stuff for a couple of weeks. And then I get this whole vacation after I've done my event that is just wonderful. And, oh yeah, no wonder my kids are switching from IT. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. IT is so hard to keep current with, and there's so many people doing it. And that's the struggle with IT. Like I've known tons of IT guys. In fact, I went to a church one time where it was a small church with about 30 families, and I think 25 of them were in IT. And I think I was the only carpenter. But it was interesting is that every one of them was stressed all the time. And I was like, why are you guys so stressed? You're self-employed and you work in the IT, but you're a programmer. And they said, because in 6 months, my job will be obsolete. I'll no longer be current in my job in six months because I have to learn something new. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't choose that. It's like, no way would I want to be fighting and changing my career every single 6 months in order to make sure that I was sellable to the next person. Nah, never in a million years would I have done that. So that is very stressful. But see, adjusting doesn't change that much. Once you have the skills, like for instance, the software, once you learn the software, they only do small updates to the software. It doesn't change much. So when I'm working through the software and I'm drawing something, my mouse is already hovering over exactly where I need to go. And I just do a small modification and click wherever it goes. So that's how fast I am with doing things. I'm there, just waiting for the screen to load or whatever, and zipping through, and I can do it in my sleep now. There's literally nothing that I sketch that doesn't give me, more than 5 minutes worth of a struggle now. And so once you become a master at something, then it's really, really easy. It's like, think about it. Once you learn how to ride a bike, how hard is it to get on that bike and ride it again? You know? And that's what Xactimate's like. People say, oh, it's such a hard software. And I go, yeah, it is. It's a very comprehensive and very difficult software when you're learning. And that's like any new task. I mean, when I went into State Farm and had to learn ECS, I thought the same thing. I was like, dang, that's a serious program. But then after I was there 3 months, you know, it was a piece of cake. So it's like that with anything, and very minor changes to the software, so it doesn't change much. And then, so that's it. And then the same thing with policy. Policy doesn't change much. Not hardly at all. Now, maybe with different insurance carriers it changes, so you might have to learn a specific policy coverage for one carrier. But once you've dealt with that a few times, it becomes secondhand, and you know that that's how that insurance company handles things. And then you write your estimates according to it. Same thing with, you know, when people write, like the carriers have specific ways they repair things. Well, now I save them in my macros. My macros are basically shortcuts to build estimates. So it's kind of like a programmer now using ChatGPT. They start with the basics and say, hey, build me a program that does this, 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 and this, and this. And they save it to one little sentence, and then they just copy and paste it into their big file in order to create whatever they're trying to create. Well, macros are like that. If I want to create a roof estimate, I've got all the parts of a roof saved into one file, and I just drop that one file onto a roof, and then I do some minor adjustments for the roof, meaning taking off certain vents, adding certain vents, whatever, to that estimate. But I can write an estimate for a roof now in like 5 minutes. So the macros are tools that make your job easier. And so once you have those tools, then it's like, who would build an estimate without these tools? And so on there as well, and I've sold a ton of them. And I think I had one comment that somebody said they were bad, and that's because they couldn't find all of the macros they saved for themselves after they imported all mine, because I gave them 400. So anyway, so that was their complaint. So I was like, oh, sorry, guy, for making your life hard to find your other ones. Yeah, so the macros, once you become Xactimate certified and you really want to start building estimates, definitely get the macros. They're a game changer. I use macros every day. In fact, I use my own macros every single day when I build an estimate. I would never build an estimate without macros. I just wouldn't do it. It's just stupid. It's stupid not to. Anyway, so that's that. And then when you're selling yourself as an adjuster, you want to have those certifications, like carrier certifications. Those are ones that are like specific to State Farm. So if you want to work State Farm, you have to have State Farm certified. All states certified. Liberty Universal, Liberty Mutual. You know, so there's lots of those certifications, but then there's also the software, like Xactimate and level 1 and level 2, stuff like that. You're welcome for anytime you want to. So what I'm doing with this live is, it's funny, I was supposed to be talking about the day in the life of an adjuster. So what I'm doing is doing lives, hopefully every day. I've done like 13 now for the last 13 days. Basically to have you guys come back, and I normally do them in the morning from 9 to 11 or something like that. So if you want to tune in, you never know what I might be talking about. It might help you out. But hey, make sure you hit the like on the video. Appreciate it. And subscribe and hit the bell. The bell will let you know every time I go live. It'll send you a note. So then you'll always know when I go live, and then you can watch again. But I'm at home now. I'm going to end the live here. So nice to talk to you, Yvonne. I'm so glad I could help you out. I'm so glad for everyone that joined me here on the live today. And guys, have a great Saturday, and enjoy yourself. And we'll talk to you guys soon. All right.